Hello, everybody, and welcome to our presentation on services and programs for small libraries. I'm Jamie Machek with the Nicolet Federated Library System, and this is our first presentation, I guess our first solo presentation of the new year. As most of you know, we had the Wild Wisconsin Winter Web Conference last week. It was 2 days of sessions, and that went very well. And today we have Cassie Cummings from the Shawano City County Library, and Shawano is in our system, Nicolet, and she's going to talk about some of the things that they've done at their library, as well as some things that they're looking to do in the future. And as she's talking, if any of you are doing some of these things or have questions or comments, I encourage you to submit those things in the question chat box, and we can talk about them throughout and toward the end when she's done as well. So Cassie, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi. Thanks, Jamie. My name is Cassie Cummings. I'm from the Shawano City County Library. I'm a part-time library assistant, and I've worked here for about 11 years. And just a little information about our library. Our service population is around 40,000 people, and we circ around 296,000 annually. We have 2 full-time employees and 14 part-time employees here. And our budget for our crafting and what I would call more like a miscellaneous programming runs us about $300 a year. If you're not doing any crafts or DIY programming, I would just suggest, starting small and don't expect a lot of a great attendance. We've been doing this for about 4 years now, and we average maybe around 8 people per class. To start out, I would suggest, communicate with your patrons, ask what they'd be interested in attending. It's going to range on your community, depending on the age group you have coming in, different cultures, but you'll need to know what they're looking for, in their library or in your library. Well, here's a couple of the DIY crafts that we've done. We call it DIY Crafts and More. We started out making sure that we have a low cost per session. We do 1 craft per month, and we usually run that for about 2 hours. And the patrons can come in periodically during that time and participate or make whatever it is we're doing during that time. These are pumpkin rings that we made last year in September. The cost of this craft only ran us around $5. We had asked patrons, we put out suggestions on donations for the canning rings. We made a few signs, asked a few patrons that attended the programs, and we posted it on our Facebook page, so we had a good turnout. We didn't have to purchase any of the rings. From previous crafts, we had already had twine, and so the only thing we really had to purchase for this were the cinnamon sticks, which ran us about $5. And for this, we had around 6 to 7 people attend. Next, we did this in February last year. Scarves were a hot hit. Everybody was wearing them. There was no cost to this. It was more like a demonstration. We had 5 people attend, including a couple staff members, but we all brought in different types of scarves that we had at home or shawls, and we just demonstrated different ways of tying them, different ways to wear them. You can do French knots and neck wraps. Some of them you can wear as sarongs. Some people are using them to wear over swimming suits. So we just sat down and gave everybody a couple ideas on different ways to wear them, and they participated and showed us different ways that they wear them. And so it was just a little get-together, which would be like the Crafts and More. Next, we have our book planters. Now, this was a little bit more costly for the budget, but we had a great turnout. We had 14 people attend this. We had some of the dirt and the moss from a previous craft that we had done. So the only thing we purchased this time were the succulents, which are quite expensive, and we had 14 people, so we had to make sure that we had enough. So this costed us probably around $20. The Mod Podge we had, and of course the books we had, we just took older books out of our book sale and let the patrons use those. But it was great because we were able to display the ones that we had made for demonstrations around the library all summer long, and we had people ask about them and ask how we went about making them. So it was a great communication centerpiece. Next, these are our winter luminaries. We just did these this past week. Our attendance wasn't that great. It so happened that we had a snowstorm that night, so we only had a few people. We tried to collect jars all year long because of the fact that you can do so many different crafts with them. So not to have to purchase them. Some of the crafts or some of the supplies we did have to purchase. There's a snow texture, it's called, and we needed Epsom salt. This craft costed around $24, but we are going to rerun it, and hopefully we'll have a better turnout next week for this if the weather cooperates. So those are just a few ideas of some of the crafts that we've done in the past couple of years. We do have more planned every month for the next year, but just to give you a couple of ideas on future crafts, we're doing a therapeutic coloring in the month of February, which has been, I think everybody's doing this right now. We've had a lot of interest in it. We purchased different color books, and we're going to let the patrons pick out copies or pick out what they want to color and then just make copies of them. And we're going to play a little music downstairs and have a punch and just kind of make it a nice, mellow, quiet, 2 hours, and do some coloring and do some talking, and hopefully that all turns out good. Next, we also want to try some beaded earrings. We've been working on this for a while now. We do have beads that we have purchased for a different craft, so we're looking into that, and that's one of the things on our agenda for this next year. This is what I just kind of called some miscellaneous programming, just different things that we have going on throughout the library during the year. This is our knitting group. They're called Needles Are Us. They come in every Friday, and there's about 17 members. We usually average around 11 women a week. And they do different knitting and crocheting for different churches and hospitals throughout the area. They're usually here for about 2 hours, and they enjoy their time, and we enjoy them here. They do a lot for the community, so it's nice that they can get together in a nice, quiet setting. This past year, we also did a costume exchange for Halloween. This was something new, so we weren't sure what to expect. But what we did was, there was no cost to this either, really. We made up some coupons to offer the patrons when they brought in a costume or a costume accessory. And we made sure that they were in decent shape, something you'd be willing to use again and trade. And we gave them a coupon. And then 2 weeks prior to Halloween, we allotted a time for them to come in and exchange their coupon for a costume. Let's see here. We only had about 12 people actually show up and pick out a new costume, but we did end up with quite a few costumes that weren't chosen. So we're going to try that again this year, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more participation after people had heard about it and talked about it. And I think people had stopped in and wanted to do it, but then they forget about it. And you only have those couple of weeks during Halloween to participate in something like that. So, and next, this was our yarn bombing that was done this summer by our knitting group, by our needle group. We had seen this somewhere online this past year where people were doing this yarn bombing in different areas in different towns, and we thought it would be a really neat idea if the knitters could do some things around our library. So we had talked to them about it, and they said sure. So what they did was they knitted these pieces, and then they came in and they knitted them onto the object. They did some trees in the library yard, they did the bike rack, some poles out front, and it was just a way to attract people throughout the summer, tourists, people traveling through, and it was just like, hey, what is that? Look at the library. We had a lot of tourists come in to use the computers and ask what it was about and thought it was really neat. So that was a great hit for just a summer attraction. Of course, now we have to take it down because it's not going to last forever. But it was fun and everybody enjoyed it. Next, this was just a demonstration that we did. One of our employees, Penny here, had started making all these Deco wreaths. So we thought it would be a nice idea if maybe some of the patrons would be interested in it. So it's kind of expensive to actually offer for a craft or some type of program. So we just decided to do a demonstration. So we had a sign up, and if you wanted to bring in your supplies, you were able to do so. Or if you just wanted to come in and watch the demonstration, that would be okay too. We had instructions, and we did do a hands-on, so you were able to make one or at least make part of it during the time that we allotted for that. And we had around 6 patrons come in and take participation in that, and they turn out really, really neat. You can use them throughout the year for different things depending on the colors you put in there. So that was just a demonstration we did this past year. For Black Friday, well, all the stores do Black Friday specials, so we thought that it would be neat to do a Black Friday special in the library because we are open that day. So we started with 50% off fines, which was great. We made almost $200 in overdues during this 8 to 10 a.m. time period. Normally on a Friday we average maybe $35 to $40 in overdues all day long. They were not allowed to pay the 50% off on replacement fees or bills of any sort. It was just for fines, but we had people that came in, paid $25, on their $50 fine, and they were just so happy to be able to pay that off and, use the library again. So that was a great success. And then we also offered free replacement cards, and we put out stuff for our book sale, and you could buy one book, get one free. We had coffee and tea. We had the Wii games going for the youth, the teen area. Downstairs in our children's department, we had a craft. And we also served soup that day. And I'll give you a little more information about the soup that we had served that afternoon in just a little bit. And this is our annual giving tree. I think we've been doing this for about 3 years now. This past year, we made $340 off of this, and that money is used for different supplies. On each of the ornaments, it would say, $5 toward crafts for the children's department or $15 toward audio books. So the patron could, select what they wanted the money to go toward. And it could go for, decorations, teen supplies, children's craft, audios. It just gave the patron the choice on what they would like to, donate the money towards for the library for this next year. And for our DIY programs this past year, we did receive $15. So that's just a little bit extra for us to be able to spend on our crafts. Looking into just some more miscellaneous programs that don't have a cost to, just things that we might try to put together this year, we were thinking about possibly maybe a purse exchange or a cookbook exchange. I really haven't seen too much on the purse exchange other than more people getting together and doing something like that, but my thought on it would be, to do them both similar to the way we did the costume exchange with a coupon. With the purse, I think we'd have to look into that a little bit more. I think maybe the patron would have to put some type of a cost on what they thought it was worth, and maybe we'd have to, categorize different types of areas for different purses when the time came for the exchange, to choose from the same type of area that you donated toward, to pick one out of. but I'm still working on that one a little bit. But for the cookbook exchange, I would say that that would work just like the costume exchange. So many weeks they could bring in different cookbooks. I would say more than 50 pages. You don't want books that you received from a magazine or anything like that, and they could drop it off, receive a coupon, and then, in a couple weeks from then, we would do the exchange where they would be able to come in and pick different books out with their coupons. And, if we had any cookbooks left over, I thought maybe we could always auction them off and take that money to use for more books here in the library. But that's all in the making, so we'll hopefully do something like that this next year. Okay. Next we have some different circulating ideas. This past year we started up circulating cake pans. We had thought about this for a while, and we received some money from our friends to purchase cake pans. I think that we purchased about 28 pans. In order to promote this, the first week, all of us made a cake every day, and then we would offer it to our patrons as a promotion and say, oh, look at what we have. These cake pans were circulating, and we would offer them cake. And that worked. We also had an ad in the paper. And so far, since September, or end of September, we've had about 25 circs on the pans, but people are still seeing them and not really realizing that they're here. So we try to advertise that and talk to people that are interested in stuff like that, patrons that we know that like to bake or like to cook. And the checkout for this is a 2-week checkout, and they are in Ziploc bags with instructions on how to clean them and how to take care of them and such like that, and the baking instructions, which come with the pans when you purchase them. This next year, we received some startup money also from our friends for some new circulation items, and we haven't really have anything in stone yet what we plan on doing, but we were looking at possibly rubber stamps for scrapbooking and the different crochet and knitting needles. We thought that they would maybe be a hit. I think a lot of it depends on what you know about your patrons and the type of people that are coming into your library and different things that you know that would circulate and what they'd be interested in using. So we did receive $500 from our friends for this year, so that's all in the making, and hopefully we'll have some different things up and circulating by the end of this year or the middle of this year. And next, these are some tech classes that we have been offering. We received a grant from the Shawano Area Community Foundation for 4 laptops last year. And with those laptops, we decided to offer tech classes. And with the 4, it worked out great because it's kind of a hands-on with your 4 patrons. You never know who's going to sign up for your classes. It may be somebody that has a little bit of experience with computers. It may be somebody that has no experience with computers. So you want to be able to give your attention to each one of them. We actually offer one-on-one classes if patrons are not available to come to the classes, but those also you need to sign up for. A little bit about the tech classes. The Facebook class was just a basic understanding of how to set up your account, how to find friends, how to change your settings and your privacy settings, and how to look for different area Facebook things that you'd want to look at, like if you wanted to look for news stations or if you were looking for Taste of Home cookbook information, how to make a post, how to like a post. It was just a simple 101 class, but we've had a lot of people, I can't say how many offhand, I'd say probably about 24 to 30 people within this last year take the classes, so we were getting a lot of good feedback from that. And the word class also was just a basic understanding on how to use the ribbons on top and how to access it and how to save your documents. With the Pinterest class, it was just setting up accounts, how to make your pins, how to set up your boards, how to search and, search for different pins and things that you were looking for. Let's see what was next. The e-reader. That was pretty much about everything, or almost all e-readers. We had them let us know what they were bringing in before classes. So we were prepared for that. It could have been an iPod or an iPad or even the Samsung Androids or a Kindle. And basically what we were doing was showing them how to download our ebooks and use our card catalog system with their e-readers. And the Google Docs, it's just like, a version of Word, so it was just creating and editing and sharing. And then the iPad Basics. This was just how to operate your iPad, how to change your settings, how to operate the keyboard, different parts of the pad, just a basic understanding of it. And then my account on InfoSoup. InfoSoup is our card catalog system, and we did some changes to it this past year, so we just thought we'd offer a class in case people weren't understanding it, and just to set up their accounts and how to view their holds and to renew items and just a basic understanding of our card catalog system. And so this next year, though, we are looking into adding some more classes. And we were thinking about possibly a basic genealogy class and maybe how to use cloud storage and photo management. And just wondering if anybody else has any suggestions on different classes they've made, though we'd love to hear them at the end of this. And this is just some programming that we did from some grants that we had received. Soup on Black Friday and the Lunchables for Kids. This was the Soup on Black Friday that I was talking about before. We received a grant through the Institute of Museum and Library Service and also Library Services and Technology. The grant was a poverty grant, and so we thought it would be nice to offer some healthy snacks and like a light lunch for people in the community during the holidays and maybe like while the kids were on Christmas vacation. Just to assure that instead of running around in the snow and they could come in here and have a little break and warm up and have something to eat. So these are just some photos. These are just some photos of some of the patrons having soup. We served around 40 people that afternoon on Black Friday for the soup. And these are just some of our kids that we had in for the lunch bowls. We did have some We did have a few Lunchables left at the end of this program. We did serve 43 kids, but then we took what we had left and we used them when they had a vacation day a couple weeks ago. So they were still able to stop in and have a little snack during their vacation, so that worked out nice. Little information about our outreach delivery. These are some places that we deliver crates of books to. They're just like a milk crate, and we fill them with books, sometimes some DVDs, audios. This is what our bookmobile delivery service used to look like. This truck we had since 1997. Patrons were able to come on board and make some of their own selections, and we also delivered crates to different institutions like the nursing homes and the schools, but then we would stop in just rural communities, and patrons were allowed to come on and pick out their own books. But this was getting a little costly with this big truck, so we were looking into some new ideas on different ways to change this. And so we ended up this past year getting a delivery van. This is a Chevy City Express. It works out much easier. We don't have to worry about the cost of maintenance and the fuel expense. And if something does break down, you can find parts to repair it. And it's much easier to drive in the weather and in different out on different country roads because we do deliver to a lot of rural areas around here. Since we started with the van, our circulation has gone up about 70%. We have 35 monthly stops, and our stops include, like I said before, nursing homes, daycares, homebound residents that are not able to leave their house. And now we're picking up more stops here and there. But if the patrons are looking for something specific, they call or they let us know when we stop by. And so this has been great. It has been really easy to use, too. During the summer, we went to the summer school for 6 weeks. And teachers would call ahead of time and let us know what type of books they were looking for the students, whether it be books on reptiles or gardening. And then some of the classes were able to come out and check out X amount of books because we do have a checkout system called Sierra in the wild that we are able to use if we have Wi-Fi internet access. So, and we let the kids sign up for our summer library reading program, and that worked out really good. They love to see us there those couple of weeks, and we love to be there. It's always fun to be with the kids during the summer. And then when summer school was out, we did the library in the park, we kind of called it. One of our big park centers here in town has sporting events going on a couple times a week at a certain time. So we decided to bring our crates of books and our computer and some coloring books and puzzles and stuff like that for some of the younger kids. And we just kind of parked ourselves right in the middle of the park. And that way patrons and kids that weren't participating were able to come over and either look at books or check out books, just do some visiting and some coloring. And they were also able to sign up for the summer reading program or check out books too while we were there. And we'd like to try to do some more off-site library events. And that would be, right now we're looking at doing some more. We have 5 different branches in our county, and we'd like to do more programming there, maybe some of our DIY, some of our crafts, just different story time, trying to get those smaller branches more involved in what we're doing here, and maybe even going to some of the nursing homes and schools and doing story times. That would be great. So that about sums up all the information I have for you today. And I'm very interested in hearing any feedback. If you have any questions or ideas, if you want to tell us what's working in your library or what's not working, we'd love to hear them. And if you have any questions or want to contact me, my email address is there. It's ccumming@mail.nfls.lib.wi.us. And thank you for joining today.
All right. Thank you, Cassie.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of the chat area has just been on fire. People are sharing ideas, and I had a few questions come in. I also forgot to mention at the beginning that this is a 30-minute Thursday session, which means it only goes 30 minutes, but we can take a few minutes to cover some questions. If we don't get to your question, you can contact Cassie at her email. Cassie, one person asked, did you offer cake decorating classes as well when you started lending out the cake pans?
You know, we didn't. We did do a cake decorating class probably about 2 years ago, but that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And we should actually do something like that.
I thought so too.
Thanks for the idea, Jamie.
Yeah. Are you also doing mail a book currently?
Mail book, no.
No, okay. How do you reach out to homebound residents to set up an outreach delivery program to them?
We do a lot of advertisement in the paper. If we know, patrons come in that we know when, we see their checkout, that they're a long ways away. They don't get to tell them that often. We'll just approach them and ask them also, would you be interested in this? And because of the way we did our delivery before, it was easy to contact patrons then because we had so many that just came to the bookmobile 4 stops. So, we had reached out to them that way because they were patrons on the regular bookmobile before.
Okay, great.
Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Another question, did you purchase the van with a grant or was it donated by the dealer? Do you know?
Some of the money was given to us from the Friends of the Library, and then we also had money from the sale of the bookmobile.
Great. Well, we were
able to purchase it that way.
Awesome. We are just about out of time. I do want to mention that we have another 30-minute Thursday a week from today on staying positive in the face of negativity. That will be at 10 a.m. in the morning, and you can still sign up for that on our website. Thank you, Cassie, for sharing all of these ideas, and I want to thank all of you participants for sharing ideas in the chat area. I knew a lot of you would be probably from small libraries, and we're looking for ideas and looking to share ideas, and I think that's just it just makes the program so much more rich when people can do that. So again, thank you, Cassie. Thank you all for listening in. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. So long.